everyone and welcome to xxMelle Potato Kitchen! Today we're making poutine. You know what poutine is, right? Potato fries, really crispy, not too soggy, not frozen, cheese curd that makes squeaky noise, and a really good gravy. In this recipe, I didn't make the cheese, I didn't make the potato, because I used all of my potato for another recipe that will come out in 2 weeks. And so yeah, I bought potato from a store, but they were so good. It's worth it. So I will not teach you how to make fries, but I will teach you how to make the gravy. So let's get started. Here's what my poutine looked like. It was so good. It was cheesy. It was packed with flavor. The fries were crispy. They were golden. It was amazing. So to make the gravy, the first thing you'll need is a saucepan, some chicken and beef broth. I made a mix equal of chicken and beef together that I eaten on the stove for a few hours so that it's more flavorful and the water just evaporates, because I felt like the beef stock I did was a little bit more on the watery side than on the flavor side. So I made sure that it was really concentrated in flavor. Then what you'll need is 3 tablespoons of butter, some shallot that I didn't have any in this video but I recommend it, some minced garlic, the same amount of flour than butter. So 3 tablespoons of flour, pepper, salt, Worcestershire sauce. Here we go. We need a bunch of spice and more spice. So I'll get through all of the ingredients as I put them into the thing because there's too much. So here I'm grinding some mustard seeds because I didn't have, well, I thought I didn't have any grounded mustard seed in my spice cabinet. But after I put everything away, I found a brand new bag of mustard grounded seasoning thing. I was like, oh well. So first thing you want to do is you want to melt the butter and you want to cook the garlic until it's slightly golden. So I put it, as you can see here, only at like 3 for the temperature. I didn't want it to be too hot, so medium low. And then I had the flour to make a roux. So here I added 3 tablespoons of flour. I make sure to mix it with the butter properly until I reach this consistency. It's still kind of liquid, but it's really thick, almost already like a thick sauce. And I want to cook it a little bit. I want it to get a little bit golden, just so that the flour is cooked and it does not taste like flour, and I make sure that there is no chunk left. And I felt like it was a tiny bit too runny, so I added just like half a tablespoon more to make sure that everything was well cooked. And I let it cook for, again, just a tiny bit until it starts to foam. You see here it started to foam, so you want to make sure to mix it well. You can see a little bit of flour on the side of my pot. It was an accident. I couldn't see there because I'm too small. So make sure that everything is well mixed. It didn't change the flavor of the sauce, but you want to make sure that the flour is well mixed with the butter. And here I went 1 cup, well, half cup at a time of chicken and beef broth mixed together into the sauce to make sure that I do not cool down the temperature of the roux. So I went a few scoops at a time once I was confident that it was going well. It's not a risotto, it's a sauce, so you can put more than half a cup at a time, but it's just it's the only instrument I had left that was appropriate for this kind of recipe. So you see here it is a thick texture. It was still a little bit too thick for poutine sauce, so I added more until I was satisfied. So the final amount of chicken and beef broth that I've put in was 2.5 cups. And I had some left on the side to make sure that if I needed to add any more, then I would be able to, because the flour mixture is still thickening the sauce right now. So I added all of the spices. Here I have half a tablespoon of grounded mustard, some pepper, a lot of pepper, and a lot of salt, because my beef and chicken broth are not pre-salted because I want to be able to adjust the salt level of what I do. So I added a lot of salt because poutine is salty. Here we can see I added like a quarter of a tablespoon, like half a teaspoon of maple syrup, just for a little bit of sweetness. Here I'm adding a few drops of Worcestershire sauce. Didn't want to add too much, so maybe like half a teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce. I think I added more later. Here I added a teaspoon of smoked paprika, a quarter of a teaspoon of cayenne pepper, and a tablespoon of chives. I love chives. And a tablespoon of parsley as well. To bring some green, some spice in the sauce, you mix, and you'll see the sauce will turn a little bit more brown here. But you do not want to do a brown sauce. It's not the same thing. It's not a barbecue sauce either. It's really different from either of those sauce. I am not a pro. It is my second attempt at making my own poutine sauce. This was an appropriate sauce to add into poutine. It tasted good. That's what is important. Once you try and make it yourself, you will be able to adjust the seasoning to it how you like it. You can add a little bit more sweetness. Some people had ketchups in it. Some people add balsamic vinegar. It really depends on what kind of profile of sauce that you're looking for. I was not eating the sauce at this moment, so I've put it into a container into the fridge to keep it until I was eating poutine. I ate the poutine 3 days later, and the sauce was really, really thick once it cooled down. I needed to add 1 more cup of broth into the sauce once I reheated it. So if you want to do it in advance, it is totally possible. So once you're ready to serve, how I do it is I put some cheese at the bottom because the cheese will not get melty as fast as we would want to. So I put the cheese at the bottom of the bowl. Then I had the fries on top of those, the hot fries. Like I said, I had to purchase fries because I was out of potatoes and it was faster to go buy fries than to cook potato because it was already late. And you want to make sure that the chunk of cheese aren't too big because it will just be like, it's nice to have a big chunk of cheese, but if it's too big, you'll have like 3 bites of cheese and no fries. So I put the hot fries on top of the cheese to try and melt it just a tiny bit. You don't want to melt the cheese, but you want it to be hot because the hotter it gets, the more squeaky it gets. So as you can see, fries were really hot because I had to take some instrument to help me. And then you want to add whatever left cheese you have on top of it. So it's extra cheese. And you put as much gravy as you would like. I like a lot of gravy. So we use this whole recipe for 2 poutine. And then this is what you get. So good. And this is how you make poutine. Of course, I know that in the USA it's hard to get cheese curd and basically everywhere in the world except for Quebec, Canada, it's a little bit harder. But if you are able to find some fresh curd cheese, because not fresh curd cheese or aged curd cheese has been in the fridge, it's not gonna be as good as fresh curd cheese. Not gonna have the squick. So if you're able to find all the ingredients that you need, I highly recommend doing this. If you aren't able to, I recommend to visit Quebec to have some really nice poutine. And I think everyone should eat this at least once in their life because this is really good. And yeah, that is the recipe for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And the recipe will be available on my website because I know following a video like this is not necessarily the easiest. But it is on my website, it is on my coffee, but the instructions aren't on my website. And you can follow me on Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Go make yourself an account on my website so you can leave comments over there and save the recipe that you like and bookmark, whatever. And I'll see you guys next week for another potato recipe. Yes!